Welcome to Motegi in the iRacing skip Barber. This is my second attempt at this video. Hopefully this one will take. The original idea was to expand on the Spa video, working a track up where I would go around a track that I'd been around a bit before and give some sort of insights into how you develop your approach to a track. I'm not very familiar with Motegi. I'm more familiar today than I was yesterday, but I'm not massively familiar with it. It's also a new surface model, which is new in this build, so it's kind of a look at both those things. So I'm basically at a stage now where I have put in a little bit under an hour into practicing a track, just learning the track itself, just learning what corner follows which. So assuming your own development that you've put in, let's say an hour into a track. The purpose of this video is just to give an insight into how you develop your approach to a track. It's going to be a little bit different from Spa. I'm going to develop one or two ideas and themes, but basically it's the same idea as Spa, only it's a shorter circuit. It's probably a circuit you're going to be very unfamiliar with, so it may be useful in that reach, in that area. If you're, who's this aimed at? Maybe a driver that's under 1,000 rating or under 1350, who is maybe struggling, doesn't quite know how to approach a track. The thing that you have to bear in mind here that this isn't an art. This isn't something that you have to be talented at, or you have to have a skill at. Once you understand the basics of how this is done, it becomes a lot easier. You have to. I'm going to talk about the different approaches you can take after I've given a bit of a demonstration of how I do things, but it's all about really understanding. So let's get going here. It's about understanding the basic rules on how this is approached. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm thinking of here, I'm just going to really get refreshed. Oops. Back on this track. This is the shorter East layout. I was practicing the Grand Prix layout, so there's a bit that I need to figure out. How does this work? This is an awkward corner. I don't want to be over to the right there. So it's a little bit of a mix that I'm still... Oh, hold on a minute. That section of the track I'm really unfamiliar with, so I have to get a hang of that. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. I'm disoriented here. Every corner, at the moment I'm just taking every corner in second gear. Frame rate's dying a little bit with while I'm recording this. So ignore the frame rate that you see, it's really down to the capture software. Just familiarising myself again with the track. Looking at the this curbing and get an idea what I can use and what I can't use. I want to get into that. I don't have the driving line on because I really want to be. It's not all that useful anyway, to be perfectly honest. But I want to be looking not just at the track, but that's a tight turn on there. I also want to be looking at what's happening down the sides of the track. At the moment I've got the delta bar on, but I'm not really that interested in it. Not really paying that attention. Okay, I'm also thinking that you're looking at two basic bits of information when you're starting out on a track that you're not familiar with. There you go, corners there. How are we going to do this? I want to get over to the right here then. That's kind of deceptive. have to study that a little bit. But you'll hear people talking about markers. If you're unfamiliar with markers, you want a brake marker, a turning marker, apex and corner exit or track out, depending on how you want to describe that. The problem with that definition is, for me, is that it sounds very linear, and you can take it very linear. You can think that you've got to put down a brake marker, then you find a turning point, then you find your apex, and then you look at your corner exit, and I don't think that's the best way to do it. I remember this corner, it's a bit awkward here. Should have been a bit wider there. Is that there? Okay, I'm gonna just use this as an example. Let's just reverse it up a little bit. Do a little bit of talking here while we're standing still, so I can concentrate on what I'm saying. There we go. As I was saying, you've got a brake marker, turning marker, apex and corner exit. I think when you start out on a track, let's say you've just started here on Motegi, you want to do two things for every corner. One, you need a conservative brake marker. Now here, this might be our conservative brake marker as we get to this paved area, or even that striped area. Let's say we get to that striped area, and that's where we're looking to brake. Then we're looking to get down a second gear for the corner, because we don't, at this point, we don't know whether it's a first gear or a fourth gear corner. We don't know at this point. The second thing you want to do is you want to look at that corner and you want to say, what kind of corner is this? So you're braking here, down to second gear. As you're rolling up to the corner, you're looking at it and you're thinking, what kind of corner is this? And you basically put a corner into one of three categories: a constant radius corner, a decreasing radius corner, or an increasing radius corner. Now, a decreasing radius corner will be something like a hairpin. That's because it tightens as you come around the corner. It tightens. So you're going down to second gear. An increasing radius corner would be let's say a third gear or a fourth gear corner, where you can drive fast through it. A constant radius corner is somewhere in between that. So the angle of the exit is roughly the same angle as the entrance. So depending on why, you might be wondering, why is it important to give corners those sort of labels? Well, first, it's important to know the terminology, so you know what everybody else is talking about when they refer to these things. But what that does, if you identify a corner, for example, this one coming up here looks like a decreasing radius corner. Straight away, I know where I need to touch the apex. With a constant radius corner, you want to touch it around the center of the apex, around the inside of the corner. With a decreasing radius corner, like a hairpin, you need to late apex it. That is to touch the apex, the inside curb, late in the corner. So you're going to have a late turn in and a late apex. With an increasing radius corner, you want to take the apex early, so you're going to be turning in earlier. So as soon as you've defined what that corner is, you know straight away where you need to hit the apex. You've reduced your workload of figuring out where you should be taking the apex by 60% straight away. So let's say we're broken down here, getting up onto the curb for second gear. Well, actually we'll have gone down to second gear. Now I know here that might be the turning in point there, and I'm looking to get a late apex there. You see? Even without having driven that corner before, I know straight away that is going to be a late apex, because it tightens. As soon as you have that information, you've got a real head start in that. Again, looks like this one also tightens. So we're up on this curve, brake, brake, brake. And I'm gonna take a late turn in. So we do here. I wanna use that. And those little bits of curbing are also a real clue as to how you want to take a corner. Oh, that is really deceptive actually. I'm still trying to figure that corner out. But you've really got to define straight away what kind of corner it is. Again, looks like another decreasing radius. So we'll take that conservative brake point, rolling up using as much track as we can. Oh, that looks like I turned in too late actually. This one opens out, so I could be more aggressive with that one actually. That's what I need to look at again. But all the time you're looking at these corners. Where do I need to hit the apex? So just in a very bit, again, this looks like it tightens up here, so I'm using the curving on exit. So identify what kind of corner it is. Brake, brake, brake. Again, it looks like it tightens, so we're going to get a late apex. Actually, it was too early. We got on too early. If you run out of track like that, then you've taken the apex too early. If you've got a lot of, for example, if you're exiting a corner like that, then you've taken it too late. You need to go a bit early on the apex. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the right apex point on corners, and we'll not do it in this video. In this video, I'm not going to get these corners absolutely spot on. So I'm still getting a feel for the track. Still pretty new to me. This isn't a method in which you're just gonna be absolutely getting everything perfect after half an hour's practice. It is gonna take a while for you to... That catches me out every time. It's kind of almost blind coming over the hill. I really need at some point to really study that and take it even slower down. But the point is, all the time you're looking at these corners and you're trying to see it tightens, so we'll go down to second gear. Turn in, late apex. Oh, again, we could have been closer there. I think this is the corner that opens out a little bit, isn't it? Not quite sure how to read that one at the moment. Tightens up a little bit here. That's a bit ropey. Again, using that curving. Tightening up here again. Using that curving on exit. So as time passes and you try to brake at the 100 mark. Okay, tightening, so... And again, that's too early. Apex too early, I'm off the gas there. Once you're on the gas, you want to stay on it. You don't want to be going in and coming off it. That basically signifies you've got something wrong. Again, come up to a tight corner, brake at the 100. Plenty of time there. Again, late apex. Just so I'm used to just going straight on there. Okay, how's this done now? We get up on. This is that blind corner, isn't it? Yeah. Looks like we can almost straight line that once we've figured out how to drive it. But for the standard corner, you're looking, as I said before, you're looking at what kind of corner it is as you roll up to it. mark here. Again, it's tightening, so we're going to late apex it. Again, not quite getting that right, but use it. Curbing on exit. Use a lot of that curving there. Curving again. And again we're gonna, it really tightens up. This is, I think it's a deceptive corner, so you've got to be really careful here. Gradually improving, gradually feeling for the apex. Now the reason I say to get the apex first, that's a really awkward corner there. Very easy on that corner to just be a little bit early on that apex. Not really thinking about the time at the moment, that's really immaterial. I need an earlier turning on that. What am I turning in for this? But the important thing is to always keep thinking about what you're doing. Where's that off track from? Yeah, I need to be turning in earlier on that, and I can more or less straight line it, I think. But it's important always to think about your corners. Why are they working? Why are they not working? Came out of the gas a little bit. I could actually stuck with it a bit more. Struggling to get that gear. Again, back over to the right for this. Still a little bit disoriented at times coming on the track, but there's only one fix for that, and that's doing more laps. Needed to take that curving on the right, on the left. Again, I'm not wide enough on that curving. Use the curving. Got to get into the habit of using the curving. Quite. That is really deceptive. Still can't quite get it. I'm apexing that too early. But again, once you understand the concept of apexing and where you need to apex, a lot of that becomes very self-evident, very, very clear, very quickly. Still not getting that quite right. Struggling from the line through this bit. But I'll get there, you know, I will get there, because those are actually awkward corners because they don't follow the basic rules of that we've got in situations like this. Frame rate's catching me out a little bit here. Use all the width for the track. Hard on the brakes. All the weight, all the width for the track. Bit too much width for the track. Late apex. It's not too bad. See, I'm still getting caught out by that, I really am. But again, what happened in that corner? Ask yourself, what happened in that corner? I ran wide, so what does that mean? Straight away, I know what that means. It means that I was too late, I was too early on the apex. So I've got to be thinking in terms of putting into it, turning in a bit later and getting a bit later on that apex. In the first gear for some reason. But you see, once you understand those basic rules, it becomes a lot easier to understand why you're making mistakes, why things aren't going. Do I feel like I need to be on the left now? But you understand why things aren't working out for you. The critical thing of it all is just got away with that. The critical thing is always to be early apex. Bit too much wheel input there. Probably further around there actually, then coming down a second. Not bad. Tight corner. That's better. Every corner you see, I'm thinking about what I'm doing. I'm thinking about how I'm handling these things. I've had just early apex that again, I have indeed. But you're constantly working on these things, but you're doing it based on the knowledge of why it's going wrong. You know, instead of getting frustrated and angry, and because that is just a. As soon as you allow yourself to get frustrated, that's when you start really getting slow. Trying to work out how to. Still struggling with the line through there. It's a tricky little section. So there are a couple of corners now I know that I'm really struggling with. That's one of them. So I can't quite figure out the line there. On this late apex. Onto this curving. I can stay on this curving. Early apex. Use the curve. Cross to the right. That was one that I should have stayed in third for and then just broke down a second here. This is a really tight, a bit messy, a bit untidy. Braking a bit later for that. Late apex. See, I'm still struggling with that one. Something I really need to sit down and think about. But it's very important, that corner, because obviously it leads onto this long straight. So it's vitally important that you get that right. So all the time as I'm going around here, as you can see, I'm just getting a little bit faster. Still feeling the thing out and still trying to find out what works and what doesn't work, but I'm doing it in a controlled way. Yeah, I need to find some sort of marker for that turn in. So it's really kind of blind turn in there. You see, I'm still not down to the 133s, but it doesn't matter. At this point, it doesn't really matter. All I want to do, could do that a lot smoother. The important thing is that I am making progress and I'm just figuring things out. I'm learning what works and what doesn't work. Yeah, that was... I should have been staying third for that one again. Use that curving. This is this really late apex tight corner. Across to the left. Brake a little bit. That is such a late apex, that's why it keeps catching me out. Incredibly late apex for this track. So that's the fundamentals of it. What you're trying to do really, and I haven't really talked about much else at the moment other than, oh cracking, getting that, completely getting confused here, getting at the conservative break point, and then see, I've not even thought really an awful lot about, I was just looking at that fence, that fencing on the left as maybe a reference point for turning in. But I'm not thinking really at the moment about too much about braking points. I'll try something out, I'll experiment with it as the frame rate jumps around. But really I'm thinking more than anything still about apexing. Once you have your apex, once you're really comfortable with how you're apexing these corners, as I go down to second instead of third again, but once you have that information down, then you can really start to think about the other elements. Is that going to work? Yeah. Yeah, that works. Late apex. Yay, missed that by a mile again. Still catching me out, I'm still working on that, still trying to figure it out. When you get a corner like that, it can be a really good idea just to slow down, stop and analyse what it is. Late apex. Could have been a bit more neat and tidy there. Been more neat and tidy there also. See, I'm eating the time up really there because the apex, I'm just carrying way too much speed through there. Over to the right. Really should have stayed in third as per usual. Again, it's not bad. Now let's probably just been a bit too aggressive on the throttle there. I don't think I'm going to be able to feed it in as hard as I'd like to. Just above the 31s. Maybe for something like a 33 eventually. Well, I got that wrong again, but that's better. I want it to be on that. Yeah, that's better. Gradually finding that little bit extra speed. Late apex it. Now the apex. Curving on exit. Get across. Third gear this time. I missed that apex completely. Turned in way too late there, to be honest. Is this really... Well, ended up in the green there, which is not a bad thing. So, and finally to the 139s. So you get the idea. I mean, what I'll do is I'll continue refining this. I'll continue working on and how I'm handling these sorts of things. Again, you're looking, where's my marker for the turn in? Where's my point where I'm going to hit that apex? Right now this lap is pretty rough and ready, that's why it's only just under a 140. Now is the time you really start to analyse the track as you're driving around it. Once you've got the line down, you see, sometimes, you know, it is very good just to take a step back and just drive slowly. Just to, especially when you're coming across really awkward parts of the track. Don't be afraid to just take it slowly and really slow it down. Even as I've been really thrashing it around the track those last few laps. Let's see how this works again. Early apex. Curving on exit. 50 mark and break down a third. Get onto that curving. Down a second. It's pretty rough and ready, a bit ragged. This is a really tight one, so late apex, running onto that curve. Now if you're trying to do this at 1,000,000 miles an hour before you're ready, getting onto the curves like that is going to be really difficult. No, but if you slow it down, late apex. As I said, there I think I'm going to just gradually have to feed in the power rather than push it really, really hard. But all the time you're going around and you're gradually finding these little things. 100 marker. But as I said, now is the time, after you've done a few laps, I'm just going to slow it down. Now is the time when you start breaking it down, when you start looking for your markers. Once you have your apexes and you know where, it doesn't have to be exact, but you need to have a solid idea where your apexes are. Then you can start thinking more about where is your turning point to hit that ideal apex point, and that's when you start really defining your markers. You've got a really exact idea of where you want to be hitting that apex, and then you're taking that half step back. Where's my turning point need to be in order to hit that apex point there? And then you take it another half step back and you're asking yourself, where do I need to brake in order to hit that turn-in point? And a part of working on apex, as I said before, it's about looking at your corner exit. There used to be a great trick with high speed, and it's kind of difficult now to replicate. But with high speed, what you could do is you could load in some of one of the fast drivers' laps, and at corner exit you'd set a speed trap point, and you'd rename that speed trap point whatever speed you'd set the marker down at. For example, if you found a point where the fast driver would hit 100 miles an hour, you'd call that 100. So every time you came out of that corner exit, it would read off to you what speed you'd hit compared to the fast driver. You can still kind of do that, but you can't for some reason rename the speed trap. So it's not as easy as it was. But that's a good trick, especially if you're having difficulties with a particular corner. When you're working on a corner that exits onto a long straight, that's a good thing to do, to set a speed trap point. You'll have to do it pretty much early in the week, because that's when drivers will be most likely using default weather. That's what you're looking to do. You're looking to get your corner exit speeds. There is a saying with racing drivers that the line will give you seconds, corner exit will give you tenths, and corner entry will give you hundredths. So, as I've explained here, work on that line, and you work on the line by getting that conservative brake point, so that you're in control running up to the corner. and also by figuring out your apex. As soon as you have your apex, as soon as you know exactly where you need to be hitting your apex, everything starts to flow from that. It's the key to the door. Once you have that, all your other points, all your other markers start to come into play really easily, or comparatively easily. Breakpoints are easy to get. Turning markers can be a lot harder to hit, or a lot harder to define. You tend to be struggling a little bit for an actual marker for your turn-ins. But again, get your conservative breakpoints so you're in full control. Get it down in the second gear for the corner, and once you know what the corner is, you know basically what you need to do to apex it, and then work back from that. You know, first step is to get the apex and the corner exit right, and then you'll get your turning point refined and your brake point refined. Don't obsess early on about your brake point. Being really aggressive with your brake point, I think, is where most people tend to struggle, because it's the easiest marker to get, but it's also the most deceptive because it's the least important early on, especially if you're a driver that's under 1,000 rating. That's not really where you need to be thinking. You need to be thinking about your corner exit, and that comes from understanding the corner and getting your apex point right and getting your corner exit right. Concentrate on those first. Once you're really happy with that part of your driving, then you can really look at your corner entry. But always make sure that your corner exit is right. No matter what you're doing on corner entry, make sure that you're maximising your corner exit. Okay, the last thing I want to say really is, this is what you might call a bottom-up approach. It's going slowly into corners, being conservative, and just gradually inching your brake points forward. The other school of thought is you want to go as deep as possible early on, and when that doesn't work, then dial it back until you find a point that works for you, and that's a perfectly valid way of doing it. If it works for you, then that's great. This approach is going to take longer than that, but I think it has a lot of benefits. One is that it's less stressful. If you're constantly going off the track and hitting barriers and having to restart, that's not really going to do you a lot of good in terms of keeping you're keeping calm and keeping on top of things. This method is really all about keeping your brain working, which I think is absolutely pivotal. If you want to do this, you've got to keep your brain working at all times. You can't afford, let's get another off-track penalty there. You can't afford to get frustrated and angry, because if you get frustrated and angry, you switch your brain off and you stop thinking. Another downside to me about the idea of going really deep into the corner, braking hard, it's an adventure, and cornering should not be an adventure. If you go by this approach, you are completely in control of the car. You can feel what the car's doing, you can look at the corner, you can be looking at markers, and gradually you'll speed up. Gradually you'll feed in more power, you'll be using higher gears, but you'll be doing so with an understanding of what's happening with the car, what's happening with the track, etc, etc, etc. This is very important. It's going to take longer doing it this way, but when you've done it this way, you're going to be much more precise. A lot of these guys that will do the top-down method they'll be really quick, really fast, but an awful lot of them, and we've all seen them in practice, sometimes even in races, they will go off after a lap or two, because that's the only way they can drive. They have to drive 100% all the time. It's part of that process. This will take a bit longer and require a bit more patience, because at times you have to step back and say, I'm not going to push it all that hard, I'm going to slow down. It's very important periodically, when you're having a problem with the corner, to slow it down. Instead of trying, and you've got to, at that point, have the discipline to disregard the timing information. And you've got to have the discipline to step back and say, I'm going to ease off, I'm going to go back to second gear, I'm going to take it a bit slowly, I'm going to think about what's happening in this corner and why it is that I'm not succeeding. In that last corner onto the straight, I know I'm not getting my the apex right. I'm too early on the apex, or maybe it is that I'm feeding in the gas a little bit too quickly, I'm a bit too severe with that. Sometimes in corners you'll just want to feed the gas in slowly, you won't want to really jump on it. But the important thing is, the thing that I always stress, no matter what method you're using, make sure you keep your brain switched on, make sure you keep thinking about things. Every single time you're going through a corner, you're thinking about it. Why is this working? Why is this not working? Is there something I could do better? Did it work better earlier when I tried it with a different approach? But you've always got to stay in control of what you're doing. And it's critical to always be looking at how much of the track you're using. This is what I'm talking about, hitting these bits of pavement here, this curving. Very important to do that, because you know, and again it's another discipline, you've got to have the discipline to use the whole width of the track. So let's see if I can get it round. And so I came off the curb too early there, which didn't help me. See if I can find, is this the I'm wondering if this is the pit lane entrance. Let's do it the smart way. Seeing as I've never gone in the pit lane here. But anyway, so I just almost got into the wall there. Where are we here? There you go. Hope that's been useful. Again, you know, just to go reiterate things before I end. Patience, concentration, thinking about things, keeping your brain switched on, always asking yourself questions, always asking why this didn't work, why this did work, always keep your brain switched on, conservative breakpoints, figure out what kind of corner it is, because that unlocks the whole thing. Then once you've got your apex down, in combination with your corner exit point, so that you maximise your corner exit, then you can really concentrate on your turning point and really refining that, and also refining your brake point. Your brake point, I would say, is going to be the last link in the chain to refine what you're doing. Anyway, as I said, I hope you found that useful. That's how, as apparently we're fitting new tyres. That's the way I work at a track. It may work for you, it may not work for you. Patience, concentration, and understanding exactly what's going on in every corner. It's not a thing where you need to be hugely talented to do this. It's about being methodical and putting in the laps, but not meaningless laps. Always having your brain functioning, always thinking about what's happening. So again, hope you found that useful, and maybe I'll see you again for the next one.